Honorable Minister for Trade and Investment, High Commission of Pakistan, London, Mr. Shafiq Shehzad, Mr. Julian Hamilton, Chairman, Pakistan-Britain Business Council, Mr. Mohammed Akhtar, Trade and Investment Attaché, Manchester, Mr. Babu Khan, Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, and all our worthy participants who have joined us today. In order to officially start today's proceedings, I would like to request Mr. Abdul Naeem Akhtar to recite a few verses from the Holy Quran.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Sadaqallahul azim.
Jazakallah. I would now like to request the worthy Director General, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, Punjab, Ms. Nudrat Hussain Khan, for the opening remarks, please. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What a pleasure indeed to welcome our very distinguished speakers, the Honorable Minister for Trade and Investment, High Commission of Pakistan, London, Mr. Shafiq Shehzad. Welcome, sir. Mr. Mohammed Akhtar, Trade and Investment Attaché, Manchester, Mr. Julian Hamilton, Chairman, Pakistan-Britain Business Council, and Deputy Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, Mr. Babar Khan. Everyone. First of all, I would like to extend our appreciation to the High Commission of Pakistan in London for taking the timely initiative of highlighting the impact of post-Brexit on Pakistan. The first session of this webinar was held on 7th December, and it dispelled the impression of any immediate shock in Pakistan's exports to the UK. Pakistani products, as we know, ladies and gentlemen, had duty-free access in the member states of the EU since 1st January 2014 under EU's Special Incentive Arrangement for Good Governance and Sustainable Development. The UK GSP scheme will now come into force from January 1st, 2021, upon expiry of the Brexit transition period on December 31st, 2020. Britain, ladies and gentlemen, is Pakistan's one of the top 3 export destinations after the USA and China as per 2019 export data, with export value of around $1.5 billion, constituting 7% of Pakistan's total export to the world. A major chunk of export, around 85% to the UK, comprises textile products, which enjoy duty-free access to the UK market under the existing GSP Plus scheme. Now, Pakistan's placement in the list of countries under enhanced framework from January 2021 will provide opportunities not only in the form of market access, but also instigate improvements in human and labor rights, the environment, and good governance. Since GSP Plus, Pakistan has witnessed substantial increase of exports in sectors of its export strength. Today's webinar is therefore an effort to provide an overview to Pakistani business community about new regulations and laws which will govern the business environment of the UK in the post-Brexit era. We at TDAP continue to look forward to the cooperation and support of all of the stakeholders and remain committed to the mission of trade promotion and maximization of trade benefits for Pakistan. I stand sanguine that today's platform will help our esteemed exporters and us as well to understand the contours of post-Brexit GSP Plus scheme and prepare us for future trade potential. With this, we move towards our session. However, before that, I would once again like to thank everyone. And on behalf of the Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, we wish all of you and your families a very happy new year ahead and also a COVID-free 2021. Thank you, everyone. Over to Ms. Mariam.
Inshallah, and thank you so much for your remarks, Madam. Moving on, it's time for our first speaker for today, who actually needs no introduction, but I will give a brief introduction, sir, if you allow. Sir Shafiq Shehzad is the Trade and Investment Minister at the Pakistan High Commission, London. Before this assignment, he was serving as the Joint Secretary, Foreign Trade Wing of the Ministry of Commerce, and was looking after Pakistan's trade relations with Far East, South Asia, and Oceania. He was Pakistan's lead negotiator for the second phase of the Pakistan-China FTA, which was concluded in 2019. He also led talks for the rectification of the Pak-Indonesia Free Trade Agreement. His other accomplishments include Pakistan's conclusion of the South Asia Free Trade Agreement and Afghanistan-Pakistan Transit Trade Agreement. He has represented Pakistan at various forums, and we are privileged to have him here today, sir, for your presentation on the post-Brexit UK GSP scheme. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mariam. First of all, let me thank Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, and in particular, DG, Director General Lahore, Ms. Nudrat Hussain, yourself, and other management team for organizing this webinar at a very opportune moment when we are heading towards the actual post-Brexit scenario, which is going to start from January 2021. So thank you so much, madam, for inviting all of us, and also to the leading businessmen, business community. The idea for today's presentation is just to tell you that what are going to be the contours of this GSP scheme for Pakistan. I'll share with you some potential products which we need to work on, analyze, and see where can we increase our market share in this market. So let's start with the formal presentation. So the first slide actually gives you a snapshot of the UK economy. It's a economy with $2.1 trillion pounds GDP. Imports are worth around 500 billion pounds, and exports around 372 billion pounds. GDP growth last year and last 6 months, it was 1.4%, which is, like many other countries, experiencing a massive, dip in its growth. Per capita, 31,000 pounds, and population 67 million. Why UK is so important for Pakistan? Just a couple of slides. UK is Pakistan's third largest export partner and accounts for around 7% of Pakistan's exports. In EU, this is Pakistan's second largest, and sometimes is the first highest, top export destination, varying between Germany and UK, and accounts for around 18 to 20% of Pakistan's exports here in the EU market. It's a source of FDI, second largest next to China. Remittances in absolute terms around $3.5, $3.6 billion, and third largest source after Saudi Arabia and UAE. Diaspora, huge diaspora of 1.5 million. You all know that Pakistan was granted GSP Plus facility in 2014, and UK was one of the lead supporters for Pakistan for availing this facility. And as was indicated by worthy madam, more than 95, I would say 90%, but to be precise, 95% Pakistan's exports, they are taking place at zero duty. You can see from this slide, from 2000 onwards, the bilateral trade trends between the two countries. I've chosen 2013, 1 year before GSP and post GSP trends. So you can see in 2013, Pakistan's exports were $1.4 billion. This amount from now on will be in dollars. And imports were 544 million. In 2014, with grant of GSP plus facility, Pakistan's exports increased and touched 1.65 billion. Then you can see the trend more or less remained same. So we were hovering around 1.55 billion to 1.65. In 2018 was the year when we touched the highest figure, that was 1.7 billion dollars, and last year again 1.6. Some good signs since July this year, and despite COVID, I would like to state this with a happy note. And you all businessmen, companies, they deserve a big applause that despite all this challenge, massive lockdown, contraction of the economy, and contraction in imports, Pakistan's exports to UK have been increasing at a rate of 20%. You can see in July, I would spend a bit of time on this because this will help us strategize in post-COVID region, and will also, help us that how can we maintain this trajectory. In July 2019, our exports were in 1 month 141 million. This year in July, we touched 173. Last year in August, exports were 140 million. We registered 6% decline in month of August, and the exports were 131 million. In September, again, we recovered and our exports went to 160 million. October was the period, and I would say this is in last 5-6 years. This is the month when we touched $200 million exports in 1 month. So, and a very good omen for our exports. And in November, again, 171 million. So if I make an aggregator for the exports, in last year 2019, our exports were 700 million, and this year in 5 months we are roughly 840 million. And if we continue to maintain this momentum, I am pretty sure that by the end of this year, like in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, we'll be touching $1 billion exports in 6 months. Which is again very heartening and very good news for us. In terms of imports, you can see blue bar represents Pakistan's imports in 2019, and the yellow represents in 2020. So in every month, imports are on the decline with 8%, 20%, 4%. So on an average, 15 to 16% decline in imports, which helped us improve our trade balance because on one side our exports are increasing and imports are on the declining trend. Now GSP scheme, you all are aware that why GSP schemes are announced. Some major countries which have rolled out their GSP schemes include European Union, USA, Canada, and Japan. And under these schemes, import duties are either reduced or eliminated. So I briefly mentioned that if I take a differentiation between GSP and GSP plus, under the GSP scheme, duties are reduced, not eliminated. But under the GSP plus scheme, which Pakistan is a beneficiary of in the European Union, duties are eliminated. So that's a plus point that we used to enjoy, or even now in EU. Now, UK GSP scheme, as we all know that European Union last year, like this year, 2020, formally exited from the European Union. This year was considered as a transition period, and all the countries, all the trade framework was being operated under the same umbrella as was being done under the EU laws. But UK government announced that from 1st of January 2021, since they will no more be part of customs union, they will enforce their own trade policy, they will enforce their own tariffs and their own standards mechanism. So what they have done, they have announced their own UK tariff, which will replace UK common external tariff. If somebody is interested to have a look at the UK tariff, I'll share a link. DIT or FCDO website or tariffs are available for all countries. UK has announced that it will announce its own GSP scheme for the developing countries and LDCs. So the formal through a press release, they have issued guidance that what kind of schemes they are going to implement from 1st of January 2021. This is just a difference in nomenclature between the two. In EU, the scheme named was Everything But Arms, and UK have retained same features of the scheme with a different name, and they have called it Least Developing Countries Framework. In EU, you are aware that there was a standard GSP scheme. In UK, they have called it General Framework, and GSP Plus, which Pakistan was benefiting from under the EU, they have called it Enhanced Framework. So the types of schemes which are likely to be, one is the Least Developing Countries Framework, which is called as Everything But Arms in EU. There are 47 member countries, and some of the major countries include Bangladesh, Cambodia, Ethiopia, and Myanmar. I have mentioned 4 countries because these are the ones who are actually competing with Pakistan's export basket in this market. Under this framework, this is generally called as duty-free, quota-free imports, except arms, because there is no duty at all on any item being imported from these LDCs except arms and ammunition, and there's no time frame for graduation. This clause is, really befitting for LDCs, because whatever share they capture in this market, they are having no fear of graduation at any point in time. Whereas since we have been benefiting from GSP Plus, there is a clause for graduation. So if you reach to a certain level in UK's or EU's imports, there is a mechanism that you automatically graduate from the scheme. Under the general framework, there are 15 countries. 3 main countries who compete Pakistan. They are India, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Made that signed a free agreement. And this are alienated. So 66%, the UK tariff lines would be reduced with certain margin of preference. I'll give you some examples. Like the bed sheets, MFN duty is 12% for these general framework countries like India, Vietnam, Indonesia. Duty would be 9%, and for normal it's 12. For GSP Plus beneficiaries, the duty would be 0. And there's a clause for a graduation even in this this scheme as well. Now, enhanced framework, which normally in normal parlance in EU context, this is called as GSP Plus. This is a scheme for low-income, vulnerable economies due to lack of diversification. There are certain strings attached to this scheme, and these are that 27 conventions the countries have to implement and comply with. These are human, labor rights, environment, and good governance. These GSP countries, you can read Bolivia, Cape Verde, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Pakistan, Philippines, Armenia, and Sri Lanka. Under this scheme, we face competition from Sri Lanka, primarily in our knitted garments, and Philippines to some extent as well. Sorry. Now, under the enhanced framework, this facility will remain open for Pakistan till December 31st, December 2023. During this period, the UK government will exercise its own monitoring exercise they will see that how countries are performing because there's a graduation clause. So if we attain certain percentage, which is at point in time now, which is 7.5%, if we attain that percentage, there is a possibility that Pakistan may graduate after the period 31st December 2023. So the same 66% of the UK tariff lines, which were subject to reduced duty under the GSP scheme, they are subject to zero duty. So no duty on these 66%. In addition to this 66%, 25% of the tariff lines, they enjoy normal MF and zero duty. So if we aggregate them together, 66 and 25, 91% of Pakistan's exports, they are subject to zero duty under this scheme. And when I say that our exports are more than 95% subject to zero duty, that is because the other main item, that is rice, basmati rice, that is also subject to zero duty in the UK market. There is a different tariff between husked and brown, semi-milled, but major rice which is coming from Pakistan, that is subject to zero duty. So we should not be particularly concerned about that. What are these 9%? Because these 9% include some live animals, which of course we don't export. Fisheries, yes, we do, but they are a fish, they themselves are a good producers of fisheries, and meat is one. But due to FMD, we have no market access in UK on meat. This is the eligibility criteria. Next. These are the 27 conventions. You may not be very interested in, but just to highlight that there are 7 human rights, 8 labor rights, environment, narcotics, and corruption. These are 27 conventions which we have ratified, and these countries monitor implementation and execution of these conventions. From these slides, that was all about GSP scheme. Where do we benefit? And next couple of slides, I'll share with you what is the import basket of UK, where do we stand, and what is the potential for expansion. And there are certain eye-opening slides as well, which I think would be a good food for thought for our exporters community, that how can and why they are lagging behind. This slide, if you see, chapter home textile, chapter 63, UK's global imports in this chapter is around $2.6 billion. Pakistan's exports to UK are $418 million, and share in the UK market is just 3.2%. So, but the same chapter 63, Pakistan's global exports are, 4 billion. So, Pakistan's, yes, $4 billion. Next is article of apparel, chapter 61. Pakistan's UK's global imports, 13 billion US dollars. Pakistan's exports to UK just 400. Our share is 3%. My apologies, in the previous one, I said in home textiles our share is 3%, but our share is 20%. So this is the one chapter where Pakistan's share is maximum in this market, and we and China are the major suppliers. But you can see our global export is roughly 4 billion. In articles of apparel, chapter 61, imports 13 billion, and our share is just 3.2%. In chapter 62, articles of apparel not knitted, UK's global imports 11 billion, roughly 12 billion. Our exports just over 300 million. Our share is 2.7%. And at the same point, globally, we are exporting around 3 billion US dollars articles of apparel not knitted. In cereals, UK's global imports roughly 1.5 billion. And particularly, this includes rice. Pakistan's exports to UK 90 million, and share is just 6%. Whereas in this basket, we export globally more than 2 billion worth of goods. Then is cotton, articles of leather. Again, chapter 42, UK's imports roughly 4 billion, and our share is just 41 million, percentage terms 1.1%. Medical and surgical, UK's imports 19 billion US dollars. Pakistan's exports just 37 million and share is 0.2%. So these were the few top sectors. I picked these 10 sectors where we are currently having at least a reasonable share in the UK market. You can see in every and in the third column, at least $20 million figure. But seeing the UK's global imports of these 10 chapters is 65 billion US dollars, and Pakistan's exports just 1.5 billion. So you can see huge potential of this market. And it's not that it's just an import potential. We have an export potential as well, because in these chapters, 10 chapters, our global exports are 17.5%. So roughly 70 to 75% Pakistan's exports just fall under these 10 chapters. Now I have, tried to disaggregate all these chapters, and you can see and drawn a comparison at the country's level with tariffs and their percentage. In home textiles, tariff, which is chapter 63, tariff on China is 12%. UK's imports from China is 900 million. So roughly $1 billion imports from China. So China captures the highest share with 35%. On Pakistan, home textiles duty is 0%. Our imports, UK's imports from Pakistan, $500 million. So our share is 20%. Reasonably very well placed, because we are having the major share in this market. India, now this is an important point. India tariff is 9.6%, because India is a beneficiary of GSP scheme. So reduced duty, not eliminated duty. UK's share imports from India 282 million. India's share is 11%. Turkey 0% duty, just 92 million. Bangladesh 78 million and Vietnam 50 million. So these are not the major players. In case of chapter 63, only 3 major players. These are China, Pakistan, and India. Now, the point which I'm trying to make is that, look, China and India, they are competing with Pakistan with tariffs of 9.6% and 12%. But Pakistan having the zero rated facility, despite that, our share is not very high. What we need to work on, that we need to increase our share. What would happen that if Boris Johnson has announced that he is going to visit India next year, and trade talks is on the agenda? I understand it's a long drawn process. We cannot assume that FTA is going to be negotiated very soon. But at some point in time, if India gets that market access of zero duty on bed sheets, that'll be a good tough competition for Pakistan to retain this 20% share. Next, apparel knitted, which is chapter 61. China, tariffs on China is 12% and imports from China 2.5 billion. China occupies a share of 19%. Next is Bangladesh, zero duty and roughly $2 billion imports, 15% share. Turkey, 1.2 billion, 9% share. India, despite 9.6% duty, 747 million. Pakistan, 0% duty. Our share is just 435 million, and in terms of percentage, this is 3%. So again, the same point, if India gets market access, definitely will gain a major share. And now the other point is that, as I said, Vietnam has signed a free trade agreement with the EU, and there are talks that UK may adopt the same FTA as done between EU and Vietnam. So if they start implementing FTA with Vietnam, duty on Vietnam maybe 0%, though it may take a couple of years to execute and implement that free trade agreement. But at some point, Vietnam would also be eligible for a 0% duty. So this is again a food for thought for us. Then is apparel not knitted, that is chapter 62. Tariffs on China 12%, UK's imports from China 2.3 billion and share is 20%. Bangladesh $1.6 billion exports to UK, 14% share. India around $700 million. Vietnam, Turkey 500, Vietnam touching 500. Pakistan, despite that Pakistan is having 0% duty, our absolute exports 290 million and share is just 2%. So this speaks of the potential in this market. You can see the last slide, Pakistan's share is now not increasing, 2%, 3%, and 4%. Articles of leather, duty is not a major, a kind of which could create some difference. Just 3% on China. Rest all countries enjoy 0% duty, but major share with China with 30%, followed by India 6%, in Vietnam 3%. Pakistan's share is just 1%. Turkey is 1%. And sports goods, again, countries, these Pakistan's competitors, they enjoy zero duty. But you can see Pakistan's share. We claim that we are a producer of, sports goods, but you can see our share is just 1% with $36 million exports. Look at China, 3.5 billion. Even Vietnam is increasing its share, and it's now 121 million. Medical and surgical, duty 0%. Major share again with China, $1.5 billion exports, 8% share. Other countries also do not occupy a major share, as the major exporter to UK of medical surgical goods is European Union. But still there's a potential for these products as well in this market. The rice, uh, uh, as I said, but on but the there's a entire duty because so they whereas global this market. Sports goods, UK's imports 6 billion and Pakistan's exports just 22 million. Share is 0.35%. Globally, we are a good, exporter of sports goods. Not a major player, but of course a reasonable share with $225 million exports. Surgical, UK's global imports 20 billion. I understand that surgical in some very high capital intensive surgical instruments as well, but still we export $500 million globally. But in this market, our share is just 0.19%, and in absolute terms, 37 million. And pharmaceutical is one area. You can see $28 billion imports. As of now, their major imports are from European Union. After exiting European Union, it depends whether they are going for a hard Brexit or soft Brexit. But once they exit, they are sourcing pharmaceutical from other countries. They are looking towards India. So our pharmaceutical companies need to focus on this market, get their products registered, and and sell in this market. Sadly, during COVID, when they were importing paracetamol from India, I tried to pursue with them, and I was then told that paracetamol has not been registered in this market by any that locally we produce in high number this product. These are the best practices. I don't need to. These are aware of that. But a couple of things: R&D design and product development. We need to work on that. Digital product catalogs at firm level need to be established. E-commerce is one area which is on the rise. Amazon is one of the companies whose best sales have gone massively, exponentially increased during COVID. So we need to work on these platforms. CSR participation that trade development authority trading the need to agreements, testing facilities of EU and UK we need to comply with, especially in leather. We need to enhance our collaboration with the fashion houses. So that's our strategy, of course. What ministry and TDAP has placed UK as one of the market consideration that in this market. With this so much, and over to my.
Thank you, sir. And we have our next speaker for today, who will be providing us a little bit of insight on rules of origin and other aspects of the GSP scheme as well, I believe. Mr. Mohammed Akhtar, Trade and Investment Attaché, Manchester. So over to you for your presentation, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Just a minute. Is the presentation visible to everyone?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Just a moment. Now?
Yes, sir. It is.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much for providing us the opportunity to interact with the business community and inform them about the implication of the Brexit and rules of origin and the standards in the UK. So the Brexit is going to some sort of implication. All origin, rules of origin are essential agreements irrespective of the nature. So whether they are the bilateral trades, multilateral trade agreements, or the union part, as they confer an economic nationality on the traded goods, like they are like the passport of the goods. Establish the country of origin of the imported goods. They also help that custom authorities apply lower duties correctly so that businesses benefit from them. Sorry. Screen sharing. No rules of origin. Preferential rules of origin, they are mostly applicable in the FTAs and the regional trade agreements, custom unions, and also in non-reciprocal schemes like the GSP Plus scheme. Whereas the non-preferential rules of origin, they are applied to determine the country of origin for the purpose other than granting of the preferential tariff treatment. They may be like the collection of the trade data just to calculate how much the country is trading. And non-preferential rules of origin may also be important in the sense because some are the WTO members country, they are entitled for the MFN treatment, whereas some of the non-WTO members, they are not entitled to MFN treatment. So there would have to be a different tariff for those countries. And now the approaches to establish the rules of origin, mainly these are the approaches to establish the rules of origin. The first one is the wholly obtained products. This is also known as the W criterions. These are the goods which are produced in a single beneficiary country and mostly the products under this categories are the mineral products, vegetables, fruits, live animals, fish, waste, and scrap products. And the second criterion is the good, although it is not originating from the exporting country, but it has undergone through a substantial processing or substantial work has been done on the goods. So the goods, after going through that process, is entitled to preferential in the destination UK market. Then there is the principle of the cumulation. This approach states that the inputs originating in qualifying countries are regarded as domestic, not as a foreign input. So in cumulation, the value addition may be from the different countries but that would be taken together for the purpose of granting the rules of origin and the preferential treatment in the market. So under the UK enhanced framework, which is just a replication of the GSP scheme of the EU, the rules of origin is just a mirror image of the EU GSP scheme. Under this UK enhanced framework, cumulation with the EU member states is allowed for all the materials, and cumulation with Norway and Switzerland for HS chapters 1 to 24 is not allowed. Similarly, the cumulation with the Turkey is not permissible, and non-manipulative rule of the EU GSP scheme is applicable. It means that if goods are in the transit and they are entering into UK market without any manipulation, they can still avail the facility of the GSP plus or the GSP plus treatment. Under UK enhanced framework and rules of origin, certificate of origin issued by the REC system till December 31st, 2020 will be valid for 12 months. And after 31st December 2020, the rules of origin or the certificate of origin issued under the REC system would be no more valid. UK certificate of origin will be effective from the January 1st, 2021. And the certificate of origin for export to the United Kingdom to be issued on the GSP Form A. This form is available on the TDAP website, and we can have a look on this form as well. I think mostly the exporters are very much familiar with this form because this form is already being used under the GSP scheme for export to the Japan, for the USA, for Australia. So this is a 12-column document, and it just needs the general information to be inserted by the exporter while exporting to the UK market, but after 1st of January 2021. And this Form A is not required to be stamped from the TDAP. The TDAP has no role to play in the issuance of the Form A. No pre-export monitoring of certificate of origin by the TDAP. However, TDAP has the power to investigate and inquire on the reference received from the Her Majesty Revenue and Customs. So if there is any issue that the rules certificate of origin has been manipulated by some exporters and the reference is received from the HMRC, then the TDAP can investigate and report to the HMRC on the genuineness of the certificate of origin. Now the standards. Standards have also undergone some sort of changes after the Brexit. First, I would like to highlight what is the standard. Standard is an agreement presents a consensus view on products and services. It is used by the organization to demonstrate that their products and services meet agreed criterion to enter into the UK market. Knowledge they embody is carefully assembled through an open consultation process. Organizations across all sectors choose standards to help them achieve their goals. So why the standards are important? There are the multiple factors which render the standards important for goods to be exported in some market, because they increase efficiencies of the manufacturers by streamlining processes. They also reduce cost by minimizing waste and cutting out the time spent on trial and error. They also lower the cost of regulatory compliance and the cost of non-compliance, foster high quality products and services that give buyers confidence and build company reputation in the market. They also shorten the time to market new products. So if the products are meeting certain standards, they can easily be marketed in any market because the people will be aware of that the product is meeting certain type of standards. It also enables an organization to unlock their full potential in terms of their products, processes, and behaviors. Suppose Brexit standards in the UK standards after the Brexit will be same in substance as the standards used in the EU. So as far as the substance is concerned, there wouldn't be any substantial change in the standards. And after the Brexit, British Standards Institution, the BSI, as a national standard body, will be playing the key role in the adoption of the standards for the UK markets. And for all the standards in the UK market, the prefix BS, BS, meaning thereby the British standard will be used. It would indicate that particular standards has been adopted by the BSI. And for the standards, before the Brexit, CE marking was being used for exports to the EU market, but after the Brexit, the UK CE marking will be used to indicate compliance with the regulatory standards, which are the mandatory to be compliant for the goods to be placed in the UK market. So what are the UK CE marking? UK CE marking is the new UK product marking that will be used for goods being placed on the market in Great Britain. So the UK CE marking will just be applicable for the three regions, England, Wales, and Scotland. For the Northern Ireland, the CE marking and the UKNI marking will be used for products placed on the Northern Ireland market. So the UK CE marking wouldn't be applicable for the products to be marketed in the Northern Ireland. For the Northern Ireland, CE marking that already being used for the export to the EU and the UKNI marking would be applicable. Similarly, CE marking will be replaced with UK CE marking from January 1st, 2021. But it's not mandatory, it's voluntary. The exporters, the companies, if they want to comply with this, with the UK CE marking, they can comply it from the 1st of January 2021, because you see the transition period of 1 year has been granted to the company, to the businesses to adjust to the UK CE marking. So until January 1st, 2022, they can use the CE marking. CE marking will only be valid in GB for areas where GB and EU rules remain the same. It means that during the transition period, CE marking can be used for the products to be exported to the UK market, provided that the rules remain the same. If there is any change in the EU rules regarding any standards, then it wouldn't be applicable even during the transition period. So they have to comply with the UK CE marking if the EU rules undergo some sort of changes. So when to use the UK CE marking? UK CE marking would be used when the product is for the market in the Great Britain. Great Britain means the England, Scotland, and the Wales, not the Northern Ireland. And product is covered by the legislation which requires UK CE marking. So the product should be one wherein the legislation is required that it should have the UK CE marking. Product requires mandatory third-party conformity assessment. Conformity assessment has been carried out by UK approved body. So for the UK CE marking to be used, it is required to be carried out by the UK approved body, not by the EU approved body. They have given their own list of the bodies which can issue the conformity assessment certification. And the last one in this is that the conformity assessment files have not been transferred from the UK body to EU recognized body before January 1st, 2021. So these are the rules which are applicable for using the UKCA marking. And what are the products which are covered by the UKCA marking? These are the products which are covered by the UKCA marking. So they are required to have the UKCA marking before exporting to the Great Britain. These are the construction products, personal protective equipment, gas appliances, pressure equipment, lifts, marine products, transportable pressure equipment, measurement instruments, toy safety, and of course, medical devices. So these products are required to have the UKCA marking for their placement or for their marketing in the Great Britain. And UK has also devised the rules for using the UKCA image, UKCA image that would be accompanied by the product. It states that it must be used either by the manufacturer or the authorized representative. No one else can use the UKCA marking. It would only be used by the manufacturer and the authorized representative of the manufacturer. UKCA marking is at least 5 millimeter in height. So they have also specified this height. Currently it's 5 millimeter, and it can go and some sort of changes in the future, and that would be timely updated by the UK authorities. UKCA marking must be easily visible and legible. From January 1st, 2023 must be permanently attached with the product. It means that until January 1st, 2023, the UKCA marking can be attached with the brochure of the product or with the packaging of the product. But from the 1st of January 2023, it must be permanent. It would have to be permanently attached with the product. Otherwise, the product wouldn't be allowed to enter into the UK market or placed in the UK market. UKCA marking cannot, and the last one among this is the UKCA marking cannot be placed on products unless specifically required. So the exporter or the manufacturer doesn't have the option of attaching the UKCA marking on every product. It would be attached, or it would be mentioned on only those products wherein it is required by the law, by the legislation, or by the regulation here in the UK, that the product should accompany by the product should be accompanied by the UKCA marking. So that are the rules, and that are the changes being made by the UK for the rules of origin and the standards. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We will be now moving onwards for our next speaker. We are joined today by Mr. Julian Hamilton Barnes, Chairman, Pakistan-Britain Business Council. Mr. Julian is a solicitor of the Supreme Court of England in Wales. He specializes in cross-border corporate finance and mergers and acquisitions. He has significant experience in dealing with international joint ventures and transactions involving partners in different legal jurisdictions. Mr. Julian, we're very happy to have you with us today. It's over to you now for your remarks, sir.
That's it. I think I've now managed to unmute. Mariam, thank you very much for your introduction. That's very kind of you. I'd like to say it's very nice to meet everybody and to participate in this event. Just very quickly, a bit of background. Pakistan-Britain Business Council was set up a number of years ago, and its role is twofold. That is to promote bilateral trade between Pakistan and Britain. That's its primary obligation. Its secondary obligation is to promote Pakistan as an appropriate and good location for business and to improve its perception in the worldwide community. And And these are very, very important issues for the development of Pakistan and its business relationships worldwide. What I would like to do is I'd like to thank everybody involved in setting up this event, particularly TDAP in Pakistan. We work very closely and have worked very closely with TDAP over the years. We work extremely closely with the Pakistan High Commission in London, and we have good relations with the Manchester Consulate. And I would also add, we have very good relationships with the Ministry of Commerce, the Pakistan government, and its various regional organs and the federal departments within the regions. And we value that enormously in trying to build and develop our work. We're talking today very much about issues post-Brexit. And the background to the core issue is the generalized scheme of preferences that was adopted by the EU in 2014. And essentially, what that allows is that that allowed zero duty and tariff-free trade between Pakistan and the EU for a period of a number of years. And that has worked clearly very well because exports from Pakistan to the EU increased over a period of time from about 4.5 billion euros to 7.5 billion euros. And even though there's been a drop in that very recently in the last year, I'm absolutely confident that that will build and develop over the forthcoming years. Now, one of the most important elements here is that we have the issue of Brexit. And Brexit has been very, very difficult. And obviously, Britain has to readjust or adjust many of its relationships with all of its trading partners worldwide. But what is very good is that the British government has created this new structure, which is the enhanced scheme that will effectively replace the GSP plus status with effect from the 1st of January 2021. The whole concept allows Pakistan companies to trade in the United Kingdom while maintaining an edge over some other competitors. And that is a huge advantage to Pakistan that must be grasped at every level throughout all of your businesses. There is a counterside to the benefit that the British government are giving to Pakistan. And that counterside is that Pakistan has to build and develop its environmental work, its good governance in its business, and work is it's very important that there's a trickle down in socio-economic terms down to the labor force that work so hard to build and develop all of this export trade that is available. There is still a bit of work to do, but by and large, the EU has historically said, after each of its biennial reviews of the work that's done in Pakistan, that progress is good, and that is excellent. And the fact that there have been increases in export trade with the EU and with Britain are absolute evidence of that particular fact. What is also, I would like to say, it's been very interesting to listen to the presentations made by Shafiq Shahzad and Mohammed Akhtar. They show, both of those presentations show, or particularly Shafiq Shahzad's presentation, displays and shows very clearly the huge and vast opportunities that are available to develop and build business across the sectoral fronts that exist. And with the benefit that Pakistan has, it is absolutely vital that that duty-free environment is exploited to the hilt. And if it is exploited, it benefits Pakistan all the way through its economy, because it starts with the businesses and ends up at socio-economic level with the people that physically work in the various sectors and the various industries. So the opportunities abound, and I don't need to go through each individual area. But what I would say is the procedural issues that are outlined by Mohammed Akhtar also need to be looked at. Thankfully, we have issues where there's time given to get to involve and to sort out issues with the regulatory authorities here in the United Kingdom. But I urge you to start that process rather sooner than later. And it is very important that these opportunities and this continued enhanced scheme is worked upon. But what it does show very clearly is that Britain is committed to support Pakistan. Britain has a vast diaspora, Pakistani diaspora living in the UK. And the heritage that we have with Pakistan is of critical importance. But the reality is the door is open to doing trade and to do more trade. Brexit is giving Britain that huge opportunity. It is also giving Pakistan that huge opportunity. And one of my main focuses in developing business for Pakistan and Britain is that we need to look to our Commonwealth partners. And in doing that, I believe that there is a huge and greater scale of the market that can be achieved by Pakistani exporters, Commonwealth exporters, in building that relationship. And I think it's critically important we don't miss out on this opportunity, particularly while rates remain, or duties remain at these low levels or zero levels for the next 2 years at least. Hopefully they will be extended, but it is also very interesting to see that Pakistan has benefits over and above India, where I know that's very important to Pakistan. So reaching out and exploiting these opportunities are absolutely critical. Shafiq Shahzad's presentation outlined the key steps that business need to take to start building their relationships and expanding their relationships in the United Kingdom. There is a desperate need to enhance market share. Other countries have a very significant proportion of the market share. The opportunity is for Pakistan businessmen to really fight to build their opportunities. They critically need to develop their contacts in the buying houses, and they need to get to grips with who are the importers, what makes them think, what makes them tick, how do you get in under their skin to build and develop and get your feet under the table, as it were. The key issue is you've got to go through all of the various processes and to build those relationships. That requires diversity, having the willingness to adapt and to move with the times, the need to participate in international trade fairs, and to work hard to do this. Pakistan government also needs to help in this process. It needs to ease up the administration and process through which, and to assist companies in moving goods through the port facilities in Pakistan. Unfortunately, there are times when goods get stuck in port facilities in Pakistan for administrative reasons and regulatory reasons. These reasons have to be lifted as much as possible. And we saw evidence of this when we were trying to secure imports of desperately needed PPI into the UK, and there were regulatory constraints that were ultimately lifted. But these things need to be done, and it's a team effort that we need to achieve. But I'm absolutely confident that that can be achieved. By the same token, here in the UK, the British government, the Department of Trade and Industry, and all of the parties involved here will support and assist exporters from Pakistan looking to build and develop relationships. And in certain cases, we can talk with UK Export Finance to assist you in building financial bridges to help you achieve that. So we are looking to develop import business, export business as well from the UK to Pakistan. But there are significant opportunities, and there is a lot of support that will be available and is available from many of the British institutional authorities who are looking to encourage bilateral trade between the two countries. I think it was also very interesting to see the procedural steps outlined by Mohammed Akhtar. I would urge companies to start thinking about making sure they comply with the certificate of origin and standards issues, and to get themselves organized, get yourselves organized. And wherever needed, we Pakistan Britain Business Council will endeavour to assist and push you in the right direction. We will work very closely with the Pakistan High Commission in London and Manchester, consulate in Manchester, to assist and achieve this. But one of the most important things that I think we need to work on here in the UK is we need to be able to put Pakistani businessmen into an environment where they can really trade on a level playing field. They need to be able to travel to the United Kingdom to secure visas so that they come and participate in trade shows and trade affairs. And this is where I think some work needs to be done, certainly by the British government, and Pakistan government can assist and push as well in this process. And we, the Business Council, will likewise do much the same. We need to be able to enable and facilitate Pakistani businessmen visiting, working in the United Kingdom to develop their businesses and to develop export and potential import opportunities without having to sit and wait for weeks and weeks and weeks while somebody thinks about whether they can have a visa. This has to be worked on as part of our wider needs. I don't think I need to go into any sort of individual data or specific data about the opportunities that exist. I think Shafiq Shahzad's presentation made it absolutely and abundantly clear that the opportunities subsist. The issue now is for all of the people in this participating in this event. They need to be able to build their bridges and build their relationships with British companies with a view to trying to build that relationship. And I urge that as much as I can. And I'm hoping that we're going to have a better year next year, where hopefully these vaccines will start building the ability for us to travel again and to do more work and to meet face to face. But I thank everybody who's been involved in this presentation. And I reiterate PBBC's relationships with Pakistan government and its organs, TDAP, the Board of Investment, and the various departments have been absolutely excellent, and we enjoy working and look forward to engaging further as we move forward. Finally, obviously we have the time of the year. Everybody is beginning to wind down to relax for the new year, and we have obviously in the UK here Christmas and the events that go around that. But I wish all of you and everybody a good health for next year and good business, and I enjoy these events and look forward to many more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And amen to all the wishes in the coming new year. We will now be proceeding to a question and answer session. Just a word out for all the participants here, you have to type in your questions and they will be referred to as the speakers so that they can respond. And a couple of queries that we have been receiving, the speakers are requested to kindly share their email IDs with the participants in the chat box so that they can reach out to you whenever needed for whatever information is required. With regards to copies of presentations, I want to point out to all participants that recordings of all our webinars are placed on the TDAP website. When you visit the TDAP website, there's a separate link given for webinars, especially. You may visit the concerned webinar and there will be the link of the video placed there. You can see the presentations from there also, and they may be given to you upon request as well. So you can always email the concerned speakers and request for the information you need. There was also a query regarding the filling of the GSP forms. They need to understand how to fill out a GSP form. I think we can have a session on that, filling out, and a detailed presentation on the procedures of GSP and the fulfillment of these formalities. So please start typing in your questions so that they may be referred.
Mariam, yes, thank you for pointing that out. I would like to reiterate that we have well noted that requirement for holding a training session on how to fill in a GSP form, and we will plan a webinar session, and if required, we can have 2 or 3 editions of that. Thank you very much.
Right, madam, thank you. Any comments and any questions would be welcome now. If they can please be typed in the chat box. The email addresses are being shared. If you can note a request to the participants, please don't share your email addresses right now because that will create confusion and you might miss out on the email addresses of the speakers. So Shafiq Shahzad, if you can share your direct email address for people to email you at now. So Mohammed Akhtar also, please, and Sir Julian Hamilton, please. A question that says, how should we market vegetables in UK market? And SMEs and startup businesses, potential for them and how to gain entry into the UK market. We have 2 questions.
Thank you, Mariam. If I respond to the first question, that is fruits and vegetable. Couple of things. It's a very important area, as I highlighted in my presentation. Mango is one product which is have a huge potential, given that we have a huge diaspora and Indian community as well who normally like mangoes. Our exports of mangoes are roughly hovering around 5 to 6 million US dollars. Previous year it was 5 million. This year we increased a bit, 6 million. That is a major product. We have a problem in this market. The marketing channels are very weak. The big stores like Asda's and Tesco's, they normally do not sell Pakistani mangoes. I have tried to establish some sustainable contacts with them, but normally what they do with big companies who are responsible for shelving and placing all these, fruits on their shelves. Uh, there are few challenges that we face with our product. Uh, Indians, they are our major competitors. This year, for the last couple of years, they have announced it. They have launched a new variety, which is Kesar. Its shelf life is long. Uh, Taste is also not bad, good, uh, and they can stay for a longer time at the retail outlets. So maybe that is one area, but the major hurdle in case of mangoes is our freight cost. This year, PIA operations were suspended, but one good thing that I would like to share with the exporters of perishable fruits and vegetables, that Virgin and British, they have started operations in Pakistan. We are now having 20 flights in a week by only these two airlines. And hopefully PIA will resume its operations very soon. So a very healthy competition that will generate and will be able to sell our fruits and vegetables in this market at a competitive rates as the freights would go down. Kinu, we are facing a problem because of citrus canker. We do not have market access in the European market and neither in UK. We are trying our best that this year at least if we are given a chance to send few consignments of quinoa on a trial basis, and if they are found to be consistent with the UK standards, then I think we'll be able to make good inroads in this market, because the Mandarin quinoa's UK imports are more than 200 millions. So it's a huge importer of quinoas. Fruits, yes. The other one is uh, some vegetables. Also, they are still being exported, but you're right. We need to work on that. On our side, if there's any particular, we are trying to address those regulatory barriers. But I think exporters also need to explore new markets and find products that how can they effectively sell in this market.
Right. Thank you, sir. Okay, regarding queries for filling out of GSP forms, you can contact any of your concerned TDAP offices, and the GSP desks there can assist you in filling out the form. You can visit if you want. You can seek guidance over the phone. We have representatives on GSP desks available into all TDAP regional, sub-regional offices. So I think that should be taken care of there. And so there is a question regarding if there is any development on the working of or working on a Pak UK FTA taking place right now.
In this regard, I think this is a very important question, and we need to move from this GSP scheme to a free trade agreement, because GSP schemes are time bound, and there are clauses for graduation. So if you reach certain level, last year, our exporters may be aware of that India graduated from USA GSP scheme, and also in some sectoral graduation, they graduated from the EU GSP scheme. Now their fabric and yarn, that is not subject to any GSP concessions, because they have graduated on those accounts. So this graduation clause is very important. In order for that, yes, we need to work on the free trade agreement. In my personal interactions with the FCDO, Department of International Trade, we have raised this issue. But as you all aware that they have just exited from the European Union, and plethora of free trade agreements and other trade agreements, they are in the process of negotiations with their key partners. They have just concluded with Japan. They have negotiated in the process of negotiation with USA. Also, they are considering to become member of the older name Trans-Pacific Agreement. I think they have prioritized certain countries which are important trade partners. But yes, we need to work on that. We should not be complacent. We have this facility up to 2023, but after that and during this period, we need to work on that. For this, we are quite cognizant of this fact and working out with the relevant government departments that how can we enhance our engagements with them.
Right, so thank you. We're still getting requests for email addresses. So Shafiq Shahzad's email address has been shared again. I've copied and pasted that again. Sir Mohammed Akhtar and Sir Julian Hamilton, if you can type in your email addresses, that would be helpful as well. And we're getting sector-specific queries, sir, for handicrafts
Mariam,
and other.
just for the ease of audience, I would like to share one thing. We received a couple of mails from the people that please share list of the importers with them and along with the details. Just one thing I would like to highlight, that the UK has a GDPR law, which is a privacy law. And under that law, only information which is publicly available, only that information can be shared. Other than that, something which is not publicly available, we cannot share that information. So that is one challenge that we are facing. And this is a very tough law, to the extent that I've been struggling to get my own MRI report from a doctor. So they do not even share your reports with them, except that only with the advice of a doctor. So that is one challenge we are facing. But still, given this constraint, we try to manage contact details. The best thing would be, I would request all the companies that if you have your digital profiles, please do share your digital profiles with us, along with your company's product range, everything, the contact details. And whenever we come across business community, or if we visit any forum, myself and my colleague Mr. Akhtar, we present and share all these details with the importers. I would share just one example, that some of the companies shared with PP products with us during this COVID-19. And we have been trying, at every forum, whenever we come across, or sometimes we have meetings in the High Commission. What we do, we display these products or display these profiles on a table, just to get to know the audience and the businesses who visit us, that if somebody intends to pick up any profile booklet or wants to see any sample, that's a good way of displaying that. So exporters can even consider this option as well.
Right, sir. And one request that we have received, I think, which can be taken care of, if Madam DG would like to comment on it, is that someone has requested chamber-wise sessions should be arranged, targeting a specific audience and guiding them about how to tap the UK market also. And I think they need general guidance regarding GSP procedures as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Mariam. As I said earlier, we will definitely look into that. We are already holding city-wise and chamber-wise training sessions on different other topics as well. So we are definitely going to add this to our already made calendar and the agenda. And also here, I would also like to reiterate to the point made right now by the Honorable Trade Minister London. मैं भी तमाम एक्सपोर्टर्स से गुजारिश करूंगी कि हम लोग जो पोस्ट कोविड सिनेरियो में जा रहे हैं और सारे जो वेबिनार्स हो रहे हैं, इसका बेसिक बुनियादी मकसद यही है कि आप लोगों को वर्चुअल बिजनेस सिनेरियो के लिए ट्रेन किया जाए. जो बिजनेस डायनामिक्स चेंज हो गए हैं ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, उसमें फिजिकल से ज़्यादा अब आप लोगों की डिजिटलाइजेशन की बहुत ज़रूरत है. तो जैसे अभी सर शफीक शहजाद ने कहा कि अगर आप तमाम लोग अपने डिजिटल प्रोफाइल्स बना लें, ब्रोशर्स बना लें एंड डू शेयर इट विद अस with the missions abroad. So I think these are the things that are going to be the stepping stone while we are trying to enter into the 2021. So ये गुजारिश भी है, and wherever you need some help or support or whatever, please come to the TDAP and we are here to support you in that. Thank you.
All right, madam. Thank you. Ji, sir.
I think Madam DG has given a very valid proposal and observation. That's how we can work on for 2021 era. Our Bursar exhibitions next year be digital hongi. So I think it's a very pertinent proposal. Exporters can share with TDAP. We have very dynamic, active teams. And with regard to these chambers and trade bodies, Ijaz Khokar sahab baithe hue hain. We had a detailed discussion with him as well. And he also invited us that maybe with the support of TDAP, कोई सियालकोट ऑफिस के लिए considering कि वहाँ surgical, sports और in sectors के लिए we can have some webinar. So yes, we can, as Madam DG said, we can even consider that, given that if there's a demand and potential for this kind of activity.
Sir, there are two questions. एक handicrafts के scope के बारे में specifically, there's a request if you could slightly guide them in that regard. And so there's another target sector-specific question that Europe applies MDR certificate on surgical and dental instruments. So with a post-Brexit, will that still be a requirement for UK?
Akhtar, would you like to respond or should I do that?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, thank you very much for raising the question. Yeah, that would be still applicable in the UK. Because by the 2022, wherever they have the consensus regarding the standards, they would be applied in the UK. So there is no exception in the UK regarding the application of that standard. Companies who are exporting to the UK, they will have to comply with that standard.
अच्छा, इसमें मैं सिर्फ ऐड कर दूं मरियम, दो किस्म के स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, एक तो जनरल स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं और एक स्पेशल स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं.
Right.
कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स ऐसे हैं which have been placed in the special standards category of European Union, and there are certain products which are placed in a general standard category. As of now, as Akhtar mentioned explained in his presentation, as of now, UK is going to adopt same standards of European Union. But they have announced that shortly they are going to announce their own standards and compliance mechanism. So जब तक इनका अपना mechanism नहीं apply होता, the same EU standards and compliance mechanism, जैसे मैंने कहा कि किन्नू पे access हमें नहीं है, तो हमें अभी UK में भी इसलिए अभी तक नहीं मिली because they are still pursuing the same standards of the European Union. But next year उन्होंने transition दिया है compliance के लिए और next year में they are going to launch their own UK standards as well. So till that time we have to comply with that, and as Akhtar said, there is not going to be a mega major change in these standards, लेकिन हमें थोड़ा सा एक comfort मिलेगा because जब standards बनाए जाते हैं तो import country की requirements and generally आपको पता है कि ये standards act as a barrier कि अगर कोई country खुद वो चीज produce कर रहा है तो वो उसके लिए barrier लगाता है. Now European Union is a one customs union with 27 members now. अब अगर किन्नू जो है किन्नू पे स्टैंडर्ड स्पेन लगवाता है तो सब पे लगते हैं. Maybe other countries may not be importing or producing किन्नू. Now UK is a separate standalone single market. So हमारी फील ये है कि standards will not be as tough and stringent in case of UK market as in EU. So let's see that how the standards are going to be, and once these standards are announced, we will, of course, with the support of Trade Development Authority, we are ready to have another sessions and webinars just to create awareness among the business community that, look, these are the standards and this is how we need to comply with them.
Sir, I think because of paucity of time, also it's 5 p.m. here in Pakistan now, we will have to move towards winding up our session. People who are coming up with specific questions, Ms. Kesra, I can see your questions here. आपके specific targeted queries हैं. अगर इस तरह की queries हैं, तो you may kindly email them to our trade missions. Both email addresses have been shared. Mr. Julian has also shared his email addresses. So for specific targeted queries, you can always approach them, email them, and they will get back. You can email us also. We may forward it to the concerned speakers for feedback, and we will get back to you. There is a suggestion, Madam Nudrat, if you'd like to respond to that, that someone is proposing, Mr. Zahid Mehboob here is proposing that we should plan virtual business tours to study markets and market gaps to be filled in. If you'd like to respond to that, Madam.
Mr. Zahid Mehboob, thank you very much. It's a very, very good suggestion, and we will certainly look into it. If you have some tangible proposal for that, please do share that with us, the markets that you wish to study, and how do you want to go about it, the market gaps that you have identified, and we will definitely look into that. Thank you.
Right. I believe most of the queries have been answered. Sir Ejaz, I'm afraid we are short on time. If possible, we can always exchange notes, I believe, whatever the message is. And I don't think we have handicrafts. Okay, yeah, handicrafts ki se query bar bar aa rahi hai, Sir Shafiq, if you could just briefly respond to that, and then I think I'll wind up.
Particular query, agar if you can repeat that.
सब हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स का पोटेंशियल जानना चाह रहे हैं यूके की मार्केट में, एंड डिस्प्ले सेंटर के हवाले से भी क्वेरी आई है कि कोई डिस्प्ले सेंटर यूके का मिशन वहाँ पे प्लान कर रहा है कि नहीं.
देखें, it's a very important, very pertinent question. Government की अपनी limitations हैं, but with this handicraft, I can propose, Madam Nusrat DG की वसातत से, Madam, if I could submit, in my office, we have a sufficient good place here. There used to be एक छोटा office होता था, education attaché, which is still with the commercial wing. I have proposed कि अगर मुझे दो चीजें मिल जाएं, one, अगर हम digital display कर सकें, one is the display is the physical one. Even as I said, if I get your digital videos and documentaries, तो हमारे पास जो businessmen आते हैं, we just need one television screen and we can play and display those items. They keep on running. सारा दिन अगर हम आते हैं, कुछ documentaries हैं. This was my plan कि tourism पे है, products पे है, sectors पे है, बड़ी companies की अपनी profiles है. We can do that. And physical is, yes, very important. In case of handicrafts, physical display is very important. हमने अपने हाई कमीशन में with the excellency high commissioner, हमने छोटा सा we have established a corner here, even in high commission. जो हाई डिग्निटीज आते हैं, of course उनका पहला विजिट उस ऑफिस में होता है, और हमने कुछ हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स मेड इन पाकिस्तान वहां पे डिस्प्ले किए हुए हैं. I'll be very happy to assist and very happy to receive that with your help to establish maybe a small display center here, जहां पे हम कुछ हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स को अपना डिस्प्ले कर सके. As regards potential in the market, मैं आपको ये बताऊं कि मैंने अगले दिन ज़ारा होम्स और नेक्स्ट होम्स पे जाके स्मॉल जो हमारे खाड़ी काइंड ऑफ स्टफ है, जो रनर्स हैं, पिल्लोज हैं, कुशन्स हैं, जो वहां पे शायद 2-2, 3-3, 4-4 पाउंड के मिल जाते हैं, they are being sold at 20 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, even they exceed to that. So उनका भी potential definitely है. We need to work on that. I'm trying to connect with them कि पता चले कि ये कहाँ से बनवाते हैं और क्या उनके sources है. Of course they do not हमें divulge नहीं करते इस तरह की information. But please get in touch, जो इस तरह की चीजें बनाते हैं, get in touch with myself, with Akhtar Commercial Secretary Manchester, and we are ready to help and support you. Madam Nusrat, if you would like to say something on this.
May I be permitted to say something on the display center here?
Gigi, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. We here in the Manchester, we are negotiating with the company here. They are the Pakistani origin, and they have a very spacious building in the Manchester. And they have initially agreed with us that they will convert that building into display center for the permanent display of the Pakistani products here. But they would work on a business model. They would display the products here, and they would also have their marketing team throughout the UK, and they will market those products and they will get the orders for that products. So, and in Pakistan, they have their counterparts like their buying houses. From there, they would ensure the timely delivery and the quality. So we are negotiating with them. Hopefully it would be finalized maybe in next 2-3 months time. So then the Pakistani products or the Pakistani brands, they can have a physical presence here in the display center. They are going to build for the Pakistani products. Thank you.
Right, so thank you. I think that about covers most of the questions that we've been asked. For contact sharing for specific queries, like I said, all speakers have provided their email addresses. You can contact them. You can always contact us here at TDAP. Our email addresses, our contact details are shown on the TDAP website. The link for this webinar will also be available. You can see the video recording of this webinar on the TDAP website. So I think that about comprehensively covers everything. I would once again, Madam, with your permission, like to thank all our speakers for joining us today. Thank you, Sir Shafiq Shahzad, Honorable Minister for Trade and Investment, High Commission of Pakistan, London. Sir Muhammad Akhtar, Trade and Investment Attaché, Manchester. Mr. Julian Hamilton, Chairman, Pakistan Britain Business Council. Thank you all for being here with us today. We are getting a lot of appreciation in the chat box as well. That the session has been informative. I believe we had a sizable participation as well, so the message has gotten across to a lot of people today. And we can have targeted sessions at a later stage as well. Thank you all, sir. Thank you so much. Madam, if you'd like to add something.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And as I said earlier, a very happy new year to you and to your families. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, TDAP. Thank you, Madam, for organizing this wonderful event. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best to everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mariam.
Thank you.